Jordan, I'm thrilled to have you here today, and I just want to say hello to all our listeners. Thank you for joining us today, and let's dive right into it. When it comes to redefining a kitchen, what would you say to a family looking to transform their space into something that blends elegance, style, and practically, like especially with the unique touch of Adonis Kitchen and Bath?
So you take it in steps, right? The prime recommendation that I always have for people when they're kind of looking to have a remodel, if they're looking, whether it's practicality, whether it's aesthetics, taking it one step at a time, right? Having an initial consultation where you're kind of going over how the space will be used. And then from there, kind of evolving into something that looks good. And then taking another step where you let someone else kind of review everything with you and go over more details for a different particular component. And then just kind of, you'll see a lot with our remodels. Well, maybe you guys won't see it, but we see a lot from the initial consultation, right? By the time they've had that third meeting with us, a lot of the stuff has changed, right? And that's what leads to some of those best possible outcomes. There was one of the more recent ones that we had on our Facebook. It was the Strongsville project. But when we had that initial consultation, it was going to look better, but it wasn't going to look anywhere near as good as it ended up by the end. So it was all just about taking the time and having the brain power of multiple people come behind the project before actually starting the demolition.
Yeah, I'm sure listeners will love this perspective. And it's amazing like how you balance like elegance with practicality. I know that's a game changer for a lot of people in their homes. So, speaking of balance, I'm curious about your company's approach to remodeling. Like, how do you ensure that each project not only meets the functional needs of the kitchen, but also captures the unique vision and personality of the homeowners?
We talk to them, right? And we talk to them a lot. So there's so much that we can offer, right, with our abilities and with our skills and with our knowledge, but the homeowner knows what they're going to use their kitchen for. The homeowner knows what means the most to them. The homeowner knows what they like. So we don't come in and push people away from their vision. We try to guide, if there are situations where we come in and the vision isn't quite a vision we can see, or maybe it's a vision we can see and would like to kind of elaborate on why it might not be as functional as one thinks. We try to guide to get close to what they were looking for when they started. So it's all just about talking to them and making necessary concessions and advancements and just getting to that point slowly but surely with conversations.
Yes, that communication is the key to like get that perfect remodel and perfect space you're looking for. And when it comes to collaborating with homeowners, how do you guide them in transforming their kitchen into something like more than just a pretty space? How do you help them create what's truly in their hearts?
You show them there's a lot of stuff that people like once they see it. If they don't get the opportunity to see it, like if we don't show them our portfolio or also some of the stuff that's out there that we haven't even done yet, people won't know what they like. So you can't come in immediately and ask a bunch of questions and just immediately just go straight for taking down walls and putting up cabinets. There needs to be a discovery phase. So we try to show them what they can. And then also we try to show them through Facebook too. There's a lot of stuff on our Facebook that shows projects that we're doing. There's also, when we visit with our vendors, we try to get content there as well and show people what's out there. So education, discovery, and just showing people what's out there.
Amazing. I know that like some clients might feel hesitant about the investment that goes into a kitchen remodel. So what would you say to reassure them about like the lasting value and the impact of a well-designed kitchen can have on their lives?
So that's a little bit deeper than that. I don't always just want to necessarily reassure someone that remodeling their kitchen is the best decision because sometimes it's not. There have been situations where it wasn't in the client's best interest to actually take on a remodel. So we would prefer to let them know that early on than them find out too late. On the flip side of that coin, there are a lot of people that need remodels and know they want remodels, but there are just some issues within themselves or around them that they're having trouble getting past to get to that remodel. So sometimes there is a situation where it's just maybe it's an emotional attachment to money, or maybe it's just a disagreement between two homeowners as to what direction to go in. In those situations, I'm there to help and bridge that gap. But it's not every situation that somebody should. You just gotta find that out with them.
Yeah, great points. And let's talk about the quality now. How does your company, Adonis Kitchen and Bath, maintain its high standards of design and craftsmanship, even when working with like specific client preferences and styles?
So a lot of things there. So to maintain our commitment to design, even when working with preferences, some of it unfortunately does come down to what we won't do. Very rare instances, if there's just something that's not going to work and we can't have our name on it, we have to decline certain projects. That's one part of it. The second part of it is how we address problems, right? So in construction, there is a nature of the beast that problems will occur when you're looking at the typical project and you have these 500 little moving components that can all lead to issues. How you address problems is huge. We have an approach where if a problem occurs twice, we actually have a meeting on it and we try to evaluate and come to a resolution where we can avoid having that problem happening again in the future. And then if it does not happen, there's a list that we put together of certain items that we want to go over with the client about things that can happen and what happens if those things do happen and how we can prevent those things from happening if preventable. We have conversations about some of those common pitfalls. So it's either we find a way to avoid it or we tell the client about it in that aspect. And then as far as just if it's something where the client is going towards something that's going to be a design problem, then fortunately every once in a while we'll have to decline those projects.
Yes, I know it's not easy to stay consistent with the standards, but you gotta have them, right? And I know that your company is doing this effortlessly.
Right.
So, what are the key factors that you consider when planning a kitchen remodel to make sure it aligns with both the family's practical needs and their desire to a beautiful space?
Use and design. So we start with how is the space going to be used? Is this something where there's going to be a household of 8 people that need to all be sitting at an island or a peninsula for a family dinner? Or is this something that's very different? Maybe it's for an individual chef that just wants to have all those latest functions and features and additional opportunities to be able to make things that they otherwise wouldn't be able to make. A lot of things. Or is there a situation with space? But that's a very common one as well, getting more space. So a lot of things there. We just need to understand what that general use is, and then from there we kind of backstep into the perfect design. That's what we do.
Right. It's just like a little bit in the details, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of it's just can't be rushed. We'll see. And there's nothing against any other company out there. Everybody's doing their best, I'm sure, but some people do attempt to rush it because in some circumstances there can be financial incentive to rush it, but that puts you in a bad position. When you have, a company that comes in, they have one meeting, it's an hour, and then they attempt to just doing the project from that. You can't have enough information. You can't have a perfect layout that fast. It's just not possible. So it's just taking it through the steps, and that's the only way we found to do it.
Yeah, and when we talk about like materials and finishes, how do you go about selecting the ones that not only look beautiful but also promise like durability and functionality for years to come?
We educate ourselves, and that's not easy. There's a lot to keep on track of all the different stuff that's out there. Because just when we think we got it figured out, Kohler or Sub Zero or someone puts out some new stuff that just completely changes the game. So just yesterday, Sean, our designer, and I, we went out and we met with a couple different vendors. We went to a Sub Zero Wolf Cove vendor. We went to Ferguson Kitchen Bath and Lighting Gallery. We went to Welker McKee. We went to Lake Courts just to see some of the latest products. So just like we have to educate the client so they know what's out there, we got to stay educated so we know what's out there. So that's, yeah, another one of those things that's just ever evolving. So,
Yeah, and what design elements do you focus on to ensure like there's a seamless blend of elegance and functionality in each kitchen transformation you take on?
yeah, so a seamless blend. So a lot of it, some of it comes down to focal points, right? So when you're looking at a space, just doing what you can to make sure that they're looking at the part of the space that represents it best. That's one of those things because sometimes if you're trying to put a lot of functionality in a particular area, it can lead to situations that aren't the most aesthetically pleasing if they're the main focal point. So you need to make it so the main focal points of the space are attractive. And a lot of that does come with positioning and what you're doing with kind of personality points. Like, you don't want to have a super wow backsplash with a super wow countertop and a super wow cabinet set. You'll have too much going on. So you got to put the wow where the wow belongs.
Yeah. It's like a recipe, you have to add a little from there and little from there.
Yep.
And like those elements need to be put together like effortlessly, right?
Yeah. I
And
don't know if effortlessly is the best, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
yeah, it's not the best choice of
Right.
word, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It looks effortless, right? When it's
exactly.
done. Yeah. I got you.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know another like biggest part is the lighting. So it's another like crucial aspect of kitchen design. And how do you incorporate innovative design solutions to create a space that's not only well lit, but also enhances the overall ambience?
Yeah. So part of it's color, right? So you want to look at the tone based on the scheme, right? If you're going with a very earthy tone, you do want to have a warmer lighting layout there. And then you also got to pay attention to where are the shadows going to be. I feel like there are a lot of situations where I walk into kitchens, I'm like, I don't know how the lighting ended up like this, but it doesn't work. You're constantly casting a shadow over the most important spaces that you're trying to use. So yeah, that's another one of those things where that's one of our later part of the process is that lighting layout. That's not something that day one we can guess, but when there are things that change and certain places they're going to be used a little bit differently, or color schemes that change, it can very much affect how we do lighting.
True, true, yeah. And the right lighting does make a huge difference. Like it can turn a kitchen into a
Oh
whole
yeah.
different inviting space, right? For family
Oh
and for
yeah.
friends as well.
Yeah, just look at it. The best example I have as to how important is most people have had a single light go out in one of the rooms in their house, and how different was that room when that light went out. So just imagine if you really curated and perfectly designed that lighting layout around what that room can be, how big of a difference it can make.
Good example. And when it comes to technology, what innovative features or appliances do you recommend to your clients that really elevate their cooking experience or any experience they have in the kitchen?
Yeah. So at that Ferguson Kitchen Bath and Lighting Gallery we went to yesterday, they had a 5-in-1 oven. It had all these little fancy features, and there was a lot of really cool stuff there. You just have to go see it and go talk to the high end appliance vendors first because they're going to have the most options. And then if you want to reel it in, do that, but make sure you know what's out there first. So yeah, big fan of Ferguson Kitchen Bath and Lighting Gallery. They're great places to start. Yeah, and the difference, by the way, is you got to have a rep with you too, because there's a lot of stuff you can't see. You can't see that the air is being purified in this refrigerator, or you might not notice different humidity settings or know about different types of heels and those types of things. So just make sure you have a good rep with you and you're starting at a good high end appliance store. And then also events. If you can't make it yourself, a lot of those events will allow homeowners, if you want to go to some design events, you can. I mean, if you can't, we try to get content. Once again, we put it on our Facebook. So check out different footage from different maybe remodelers or contractors when they go to those events and see what the highlights are from them because there's a lot of stuff you can learn from that. And it never seems important until you see that thing that flips the switch.
True, yeah, and I know there are like a lot of impressive options out there. So
Oh yeah.
it's very important to be educated and have
Yeah.
all the knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. We saw faucetless sinks, countertops that charge your phone, sink faucets that are hanging from the ceiling, tub fillers that come from the ceiling. Of course, there's all the mirrors with TVs and there's all sorts of crazy stuff. Electrochromic glass. There's so much fancy stuff out there that really, I think once people, that's the other thing, bandwagon effect is huge. There's a whole bunch of stuff that a whole bunch of our clients want as soon as the first client goes for it. But no one wants to be the first. It seems they just got to see that it's a thing. So a lot of that stuff, no one's doing it yet. But I don't know. I'm pretty optimistic. I think some of those phone charging countertops might be a big thing in 10 years or so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's very convenient.
Yeah.
And Jordan, how do you make sure that your designs stay fresh and continue to inspire as they adapt to the changing needs and lifestyle of the homeowners?
That's a tough one. Once again, education starts with that. We stay educated so we can keep them educated. But some people, they don't want it to be fresh. Some people have been thinking about this kitchen remodel for 20 years and they want the remodel they've been thinking of. You can't expect them to change their mind on everything. Whether I tell them this color is in or out, this is the color they've been picturing for all of these years. So I feel that fresh isn't as important. It's definitely, if you give me the opportunity, I'm going to go with fresh. There's going to be a lot of new, trendy, colorful, very, very nice stuff in there, but we're not going to force our clients into that. It's more important that, of course, it's functional, and then it's most important that it's what they like. As long as it's not something that kills our brand, like, don't do carpet in the bathroom or something crazy like that. If it's something that we can't explain, if there was a picture of it, we can't do it. But if it's, if someone just wants a white kitchen and we tell them, hey, white kitchens are out, but that's what they want, well, we're going to work with them. We just want to make sure it's what they want.
Exactly. And lastly, I would love to hear your thoughts on what really sets like Adonis Kitchen and Bath apart in the industry. Like, how does your commitment to personalized design and craftsmanship position you as a leader in kitchen remodeling?
I feel like we take it more seriously. I feel like we take learning and evolving more seriously than a lot of other contractors that are out there. This isn't just out putting up some cabinets to us. We're at these events, we're at these vendors, we're talking to these designers, and we're constantly gathering more and more information. So the difference, I might not be 70 years old with 60 years of experience, but I do believe that there is a factor that we bring in just having the most information and knowing the most about the evolution that's happening within the industry. So I think that's where it starts, and then taking the time and putting in the work.
I couldn't agree more with you, Jordan. It's clear that you have the passion to create these beautiful space that makes your company truly stand out. And thank you so much for sharing your insights today with me and with our listeners. I'm sure they'll love this. And until next time, guys, happy remodeling.
Thank you, Nora.